The base plate that comes with the tool is good and you should keep it. It's small so you can use it in tight areas, but being small, it's also not especially stable. So it's a good idea to make a bigger one that's also perfectly centered on the bit. And this is important when you're using templates that use a fixed distance to the bit. The plate can be made from anything really. It can be 1/4-inch plywood. I happen to have some 1/4-inch thick clear acrylic, and I'm going to be using that. And the first step is to cut a blank, slightly bigger than I need. So I've set the fence on my table saw to 6 1/4. Make this first cut, and I'll use my mini table saw sled to cut it into a 6 1/4-inch square. I'm going to leave the protective film on for now. It makes it easier to mark. And I'm going to take the old original base off the router and use that to mark the holes on this new blank. Then I can drill those out and countersink them so that the screws will fit in there with their heads just below the surface. And it pays off here to be as careful as you can when you're drilling these holes to make sure they're as accurate as you can make them. Then I can get the blanks screwed on to the base of the router. And here I want to make sure that I'm using all 4 screws so that I get the best alignment possible. Now before this, I put a 1/4-inch bit in my router, and I'm actually going to use that to drill the hole through the base. And this is the tricky part. You want to make sure that this slides ahead smoothly and doesn't ream out the hole bigger than it should be. This hole has to be accurate so that we can cut the outer diameter of the base precisely. And because the fit, when it's not tightened up, is a little bit sloppy, I've got this thin piece of plastic to wrap around the barrel that will take up the slack. And then I can slide it through, drilling the hole. And you want to do this in 2 or 3 passes so that you're not melting the plastic too much. Now I can use that 1/4-inch hole as the center point to cut the perfect circle that the base needs to be. And there are several ways to do that, including rigging up the router in the temporary table. But I'm going to use a table saw instead. And to do that, I need a very simple sled. That's just a slat made from hardwood, cut to fit in the miter slots in my table saw, and a scrap of plywood. Now I'm going to carefully measure over and mark the hole location that the base will rotate on. And the idea here is to use the sled to make a bunch of cuts to roughly form the circle, and then you can do a final pass to get everything cleaned up. It's a good idea after the cuts are made to double check to make sure that it's perfectly round. I'm using a sanding block up against the edge of the sled and turning the base. If there's no resistance, then everything is cleanly cut. The only thing left is to make that 1/4-inch hole bigger, and it should be at least the same size as the hole that's in the base of the router. Although a little bit bigger certainly doesn't hurt. Before you use this for anything important, it's a good idea to test it. I'm going to do that here. I've got a scrap of plywood again, fence set up so that the router base rides against it. I'm going to put a mark on the base. That'll be a piece of tape, so I'll know where I'm starting. I'm going to cut in about an inch and then back off a little bit and rotate the base and see if it's making any cuts. Mine looks good. It's not cutting in, but I'm going to show you how to fix it in case you find that yours is. And the good news is that you can actually use this method to cut the base in the first place, instead of carefully drilling a hole like I did in the beginning. The one thing you will need though is a 1/4 inch shaft. And the easiest way to get one is to take a 1/4 inch drill bit. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, and put it in your drill and break it off so you have nothing but shaft left. And then you can take the shaft and put it in your router so it's sticking out about a 1/2 inch. And then you're going to make a new hole in your sled and use that to recut the base. Now, like I said before, you can do it this way to start. And you know what? I would have if I had thought it up before I did it the other way. So to recap, the better way to do this is to drill that 1/4 inch hole, but not with the router. Do it on the drill press, then cut it out bigger with the hole saw, break off the drill bit, put it in the router, use that as a center pin for cutting the base into a perfect circle. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. I have many other videos like this, and I'll have more coming up. So if you haven't done it already, use your favorite wooden mallet to pound that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one.